Every year, families are arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border. Mothers with their children, fathers with their children, and they come here seeking protection from violence and persecution in their home countries. It is their right to come here and ask for protection. It is explicitly allowed under U.S. law. An immigration official will ultimately decide whether they can stay or whether they have to return, but it is not illegal to come here and ask for protection. Now, in recent years, more and more families with young children have fled Central America and come to the U.S. seeking safety. They come here fleeing threats to their lives in countries that have broken down. They face rampant cartel and gang violence, failing governments, and a complete absence of social services. And then last year, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security at the time, who's now the President's Chief of Staff, threatened to forcibly take children away from their mothers and fathers at the border in order to stop other families from coming here. There was a huge outcry. Groups across the country, and not just attorneys, but pediatricians, social workers, mothers groups, they raised their voices and they were heard. The administration backed down from a formal policy. Instead, they simply went ahead with their plan quietly and began separating more and more children from their parents when they appeared at the border. Now, at the Young Center, our team of attorneys, social workers, and volunteer advocates are appointed to advocate for children who come to the U.S. alone. These children are known as unaccompanied children. In the last year, however, we've been appointed to a dramatically high number of children who didn't come here alone, but came with a parent that they were later separated from by U.S. immigration authorities at the border. So these children are being rendered unaccompanied by our own government. And importantly, what happens to these children when they're separated from their families is awful. They're traumatized by this separation, a trauma that has the potential to affect them for the rest of their lives. They don't know why they were separated from their parents, and most of them don't know where their parents are. We know. Their parents are somewhere in federal immigration jails. It can take weeks to find them, and when we find them, it can take days and days of work just to set up a single phone call between a father and his daughter, between a mother and her son. And in some cases, by the time we are able to find these parents, they're already being deported. Now, keep in mind, these children fled violent and dangerous situations in their home countries. They made a difficult journey here, but at least they were with a parent. And when they arrive at our border, the most important person in their life, the person they trust the most to keep them safe, is taken away from them. So when they lose that parent, there are consequences. Some of these kids can't sleep. They lose their appetite. They have no desire to play or go to school or make friends. And they have no idea what's happened to their loved one or what will happen to them next. At the Young Center, we fight for the best interests of these children. It's what federal law tells us to do. We put them in touch with their parents if they're old enough to talk, that is, if they can hold a telephone or look at a camera, because not all of them can. And we help these parents understand where their kids are and what's going on so the parents don't lose hope and can keep up the energy to keep fighting. And we help these parents fight to get out, and then we fight to get these children back to their parents. Taking children away from their parents in this manner is completely inconsistent with the child welfare laws of every state in the Union. It violates the U.S. Constitution and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. We need to bring some common sense, dignity, and respect back into the conversation about immigration in this country. It is unacceptable for policymakers to think that they can threaten to take children from their parents for no good reason and then to do it. Estas familias merecen nuestro apoyo. Luchamos por ellos.